All right, we'll call the meeting to order at, we have 11:17. Oh, I have the pledge of allegiance on here. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. 3 minutes for public comment, no public. All right, new business. The fee schedule. So Amanda has a resolution here. Last time it was not adopted with the resolution, it did not appear. No. Correct?
Right, yours.
Yeah,
Yeah, so what I did was just added the fees for the temporary gathering.
Oh, yeah.
And then when, in my mind, I remembered the conversation we had with Paul. He said it needed to be adopted by resolution, so I went back to try and find the previous resolutions and I could not find any. So now we'll have one. So he just suggested we adopt it as a resolution, so then we're good to go. So that just adds.
Nice if it's all removed and change the fees to include the raises for. to reflect
Well,
the PC.
I know, and that's something we've been thinking
No.
about doing for a while.
As soon as I saw it, I'm like. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah. missed
Well,
opportunity.
and I don't know, maybe we can do another resolution later in
Yeah.
the year or something. if we
Yeah.
can come around to.
Well, I know we were talking about adjusting the fee schedules
Right.
beyond
Yes.
this.
Exactly. This is just emergency pretty much so that we can get that permit out. My question to Paul was on page, maybe it's the last page, it talks about special meetings. And I said, so it looks to me like a special meeting of the planning commission would be $350, but why would it be less than? Like our normal meeting is 900. But we still pay all the planning commission people whether or not they come.
Wonder if it's 900 plus 350.
Paul said to his reading, this was additional on top of the regular fee.
Okay.
That
Which
makes sense.
it wasn't clear to me. I don't know if we want to clarify that or if we just leave it and when we come around again, because I said that wasn't clear to me and he didn't say.
So we could say
So-
in addition to,
Yes.
in this line, the
Yeah.
regular. Okay, so we'll make a note to change that.
We could, but then I'm also gonna be a little bit of a devil's advocate and say, so what? What is that? We can't make money, right?
Right.
We can't profit. How do we justify that fee? What do we do for a special planning commission meeting that we don't do for a regular? And I can't think of the gosh darn thing.
Right.
Well, the members of the commissions and the boards have to be paid.
Right, and they're paid out of the 900, we charge 900, so it's, it's 7 people at 100 or whatever, and then a little bit more.
You're gonna have Rod run the Zoom, you're gonna have somebody taking notes, you're gonna have Candace gonna have to notice it.
Mhm.
So there-
There is a little bit additional,
But is that in addition to what would apply for a regular?
right?
Does
And
the
for
nine-
township board, we don't get paid anything,
Right.
nobody gets paid anything for that. So I'm just mentioning it, I mentioned it to Paul, right now, we could leave it as it is, we could put in addition to, that was Paul's reading, and get more information from him. On it.
But I agree with you, we have to be able to justify that extra $50.
Or any,
And if the
right,
900 covers all of these things, Rod's time, Carol's time
yeah.
already, then I
Right,
don't know how. to
And
justify it.
that was actually, I mean, that was actually something that became in addition to the 900 a couple of years ago.
right,
And what was it for?
Then, well, that's what I'm saying, my time, the
Oh.
scribe's time is something that became in addition to
really
that
should be
900. a
built
couple
into
years ago.
that
Should be
900,
built into it now.
right.
So how do you, hold a special meeting?
Well, I think someone would just say, we want to have a special meeting of planning commission, and Carol gets dates, and the planning commission comes together. And that person pays the $900 for the planning commission, which should pay for all the people and Carol's time.
When does that
Um,
ever happen?
Special meetings happen quite a bit for planning commission, because people wanna move things along, you can
Oh.
only put 2 or 3 things on a
I
piece of the
see.
agenda.
You
Sometimes
can't
when a
even
lot of
present it.
stuff,
I see.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's one, so they have their regular meeting and they want to get on, they want to get an application through.
They don't wanna wait.
They
Okay,
told
all
me,
right.
yes, listen, you're in a special meeting. in
Okay.
April, But they paid that 900.
The special meeting is still on the third Thursday of the month, right? They just get it.
Not necessarily, it can be, they have their regular meeting, that's the 4th Thursday of the month. And then if someone wants a special meeting, it might be the
Tuesday.
second, it could be any,
Whenever, right.
any day.
Right, so I would think this is sort of to encourage people to just stick to the planning commission schedule. And otherwise, why even go by the schedule? If you didn't have any kind of penalty, every meeting would. Should be a special, then they, developer, well, yeah, I don't always want the special. I don't wanna wait till Thursday of that one.
Oh,
If there's no penalty,
right, well, but is it a penalty or is it fee? I mean, that's an interesting argument, but it's listed here as a fee and it's not clear to me. Like, what about the township board? That one is really different to me because we don't get paid for anything, whether we're here or not, and nobody, so where is that 500? Where does that?
Yeah, we don't even know.
Where does
it comes
that
from
go?
at this point.
Where if somebody paid $500 to have a special meeting with township board,
And I wonder if the old
where does
board
that money go?
did get that. one. Way back then.
Paul asked me, do you guys get paid for meetings? And I said, no, we don't get paid for anything. And then he didn't respond. I was like, these were flying Thursday and Friday last week. So
And
I'm
then
just
just-
mentioning this because I had some questions. Go ahead.
There may be something left over. I mean, maybe the old board did charge that, and they
And
did
then
take
pay
that,
people.
Right,
$100 a person.
again, probably just punitive.
Could
They're
be, but
trying
we
to
can't
discourage
copy it. But we have, we can't,
Well, it's
we
not,
can't.
I mean, I should be out doing my yard work and this is not my regularly scheduled work schedule. I've got,
But you're not getting
Things.
compensated for it. It's
I'm
not
saying I
saying-
should. You wanna have a special,
Okay.
meeting, you wanna,
So you're saying we should get compensated for special meetings?
if the developer, or somebody who's gonna force us into a special meeting,
Mhm.
then
so maybe maybe there was a stipend associated with that, in addition to salary.
That's what I'm thinking. The old board was surprised.
But I mean, I see where Kurt's coming from, Ellen,
Right.
and pulling you in from. Your
I
life.
think that people need to, if they've got to put time in, they need to be paid for their time. I don't know why everybody's so reluctant to say that, because your time is, you could be doing something else.
Absolutely. Right, for sure.
So that makes sense, the planning commission. Doesn't make sense to me as much if they're going to get paid their stipend anyways for being here.
Yeah.
But then I hear what you're saying, Rod, we should build those additional fees into that, the initial $900. Maybe that's something.
you can always waive it. You can leave it there to try and scare people away from trying to do it in a special meeting and if they balk and say they're gonna sue you, then just waive it.
If I were trying to get something done, I would be asking for a special meeting, once a month. Sometimes the planning commission meetings are big and so are others, but there's no reason to, everything has to be dragging your feet. I mean, sometimes you just want to make something happen. And we should let people do that.
Well, so I'm just bringing this up and I think we have questions and things to fill in, but for today, and maybe Paul will chime in and say something else. Like I said, he asked if we got paid, I said no, so we'll see where that goes.
Well, and
Should we even?
anytime we have those answers, we can also be free to that.
Exactly.
With these
Right.
changes, they were, I was trying to go back and find, it looks like in 2017, that happened, and there were a few months where there was additional fees added, and so you guys, you adopted via motion, but thought was saying it just needs to.
Right, so we could do another resolution, we could get clarity on
Once
that.
we have the clarity, right?
But
If the
big
planning commission gets paid for every meeting they go to, then the board should as well. Why would that be different?
Well, you are paid instead of
Yeah.
your salary.
Right, which reflects, I think, the regular schedule.
Hmm.
So I hear what you're saying, we have to be pulled in for it, an afternoon. Maybe that's like, that's what that's, there's some kind of additional thing.
So the salary should cover up to a certain number of meetings and then over that number of meetings, and you get paid for it. You get paid for the time that you put in.
That's probably a discussion.
I will make the motion to approve the updated Sylvan Township fee schedule.
I'll second.
You say the updated fee schedule from April 10th. 23, sorry, yes. 20. Yeah.
It's
okay,
it's
what
so
you
easy.
said. Okay,
All right, motion by Amanda, supported by Ron, all in favor, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Is it adopted by resolution?
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
gosh.
thank you, Rod.
Yes,
Okay,
thank
so
you.
Rod. Okay,
So,
so I make a motion to adopt resolution 23-07, a resolution of the Sylvan Township Board to adopt the Sylvan Township fee schedule.
I will second that.
roll call votes. On,
Branham,
Yes.
Schulte, yes, Kennedy,
yes,
Kosak.
Yes.
yep, the resolution is adopted, motion carried, resolution adopted, all right. So then, as you saw, I sent last week the IA contract, they came forward with this new contract. I did send it to Mr. Thal, and he responded that he would look at it, and he said he's had a client recently dump infrastructure alternatives because of rate hikes. So he said their new business model seems to be a little more focused on profits. So, and one thing I will say too is, we talked to Sierra Brown, Rod was here, and Sierra came in, Bob Hollowell, talked to us about this contract. You know, they say their business is growing. To the point where they weren't providing the quality service they wanted anymore. And so they're shrinking and they're letting some people go. Sylvan is one client that as they say, they wanted to keep. And they said, you know, Mr. DeGrand that I was having so much trouble with, they're gonna be reducing his responsibilities as part of this shrinking because people just had too much to do. And so they're looking to return to the quality of service. So that was Sierra Brown. I also talked on the phone last week to Dana, I forget how they say the last name. He is Kent's brother. Kent was the president of the company. Now his brother Dana is the president of the company. And I called Dana, Bob Howell gave me his number, and I told him, you know, I just want to let you know, while Kent was at the helm, we really felt like IA cared about us. We had a good relationship with them, not feeling so much that way anymore. He understood, he talked a lot about the thing growing, you know, their company growing and now shrinking. He appreciates us being long-term customers. He said, please meet with Sierra. If you're unhappy with what he says, call me. We want to make it right. They recognize their end of this following through of the contract that we signed last time. So I just want to say I kind of had that side conversation with the president of the company who said, if you're unhappy after you talk to Sierra, call me. I'm kind of feeling a little unhappy because this new contract is substantially more. You know, when Sierra was here, they were talking about cost of living increase. I think he said 8%, but this new contract is more than 8% over the old one they had proposed.
And he also said, well, I think the difference in this one and this one was they didn't put the truck in. We didn't.
And then he was still saying, even with this is a 40-hour, you know, contract. I said the old contract was also 40 hours. And he was saying, Well, even with 40 hours, there's still gonna be overtime. Did you have the impression from that conversation?
You made that, you said
He,
it flat out.
he said it many times.
Yeah.
This is gonna be more than a 40 hour a week job,
The RO filter. That's some of what is.
so. Yeah. So, I don't know, I'm not feeling great about IA. Maybe what my plan was to maybe talk to Dana and say that we weren't happy with these numbers, see what they could do to make them lower. I understand there's a cost of living increase, perhaps even, and I crunched some numbers at our old rate plus 8% is less than 10,000 a month. And I think this new contract's for 11,000. Yeah, so so here's my thoughts. And I think a couple of you have echoed this too. Maybe it's a good time to start looking at seeing who else would provide this service.
Yeah.
I can talk to Dana and see if they'll come down on this number. To something that's, reasonable. More reasonable.
What was the previous number?
It's 8,000. I have to think of what I
Like
paid.
2,000 less than this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So right around 9 or something.
The 40 hour right that they had proposed was around 9,000 and change. And this one is 11,000 and change. And I said, wow, that's really
My,
more.
my bill that I carry on is like 8,700. It's their monthly,
Yeah.
that's what I.
And then,
I
and
don't
then
have
it's
to
like,
take
and
it.
then there's overtime though, because they're still
Yes.
operating under
Right.
that 32 hour contract instead of the 40 hour, which this board approved last year.
Right.
And then never got signed through this series of, missteps and miscommunication, and I couldn't get a hold of Mr. Grand, and they, so this, when I talked to them, they said, yeah, we're sorry, we got too big too fast, we had too many people trying to do too much stuff, things fell through the cracks. This being one of them, so this is where I think the president of the company was apologetic and saying, we want to make you happy. So,
Try harder.
so, this is a special meeting, so I threw this on here so we can have some discussion about it. Mr. Brown, Sierra Brown, wanted to come to our next meeting. He said he would Zoom in. Dana on the phone told me he would come down in person because he likes that personal face to face. So if we wanted him to do that, we could.
I'd say talk to him and see what we can get to first.
I'm
You
sorry.
know, talk to Dana first and see where Kathy can get with it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, maybe, just maybe something to think about is, Bob doesn't care where he works. Maybe it's time we look into what it would cost to have our own person running the plant. A truck and hourly rates and benefits and see what it all costs.
Yeah.
It may be cheaper. And Bob would do it.
Yeah. Bob has already talked to me a little bit about that. Bob told me that, so I didn't realize this, but Bob's been here forever.
Yeah.
Before IA, right? And then he got hired on by IA, but he was here and worked for us before. And what he said was, he realizes we don't provide any benefits. And when he worked directly for the township before, they paid him a little more so that he could
Right.
do his own benefits, because we don't have any health benefits. We're not gonna start something like that. Or
Why not?
unless we do it for everybody.
Exactly.
But, but he had mentioned that. So yeah, maybe it's time to look and see and, I can see if they'll come down on this and I can ask them if they would be comfortable with this as a quote. Would you be comfortable with using, if we're gonna go out for quotes, would you stand by this as a quote? Because maybe they'll
Yeah.
say, oh, well, actually, we can do better. I don't know.
There's a lot of companies out.
There are a lot of companies.
There are not.
No, I know. And it sounds like there's not a lot of licensed operators. And that's part of IA's problem right now too, is finding people.
Yeah.
That are qualified.
They have people
So-
working on the Bob's license. sometimes Bob doesn't get real happy about.
Hmm.
Maybe you see what Bob proposes, having stuff, we have to get truck, because we have to lease a truck,
Mhm.
and we have insurance. But
Mhm.
what would his wages be? And what would the truck be? Versus what we pay every month?
Mhm.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Then it would be probably a simple process to let him resign from IAI and we take him on. I don't know, just a thought, it's probably an easy out, if the number.
Right. And we do have to offer, but whatever the same benefits, because
Well,
no one can step
If
away.
he could build his own benefits into his salary,
Oh, I see.
we wouldn't have to worry about that. If he's willing to do that.
So as a employee of Sylvan or, you know,
Employee of Sylvan.
as a independent contractor who's running his own business?
Well, actually talked to me about how did I form my business, what was involved, what would you have to do, blah, blah, blah.
Because you gotta, you know, when he's sick or on vacation, who's gonna cover for him? There's no, he's working for, he's a township employee, it's somebody else. in the Township that's gonna go cover for him, or if it's his own business. Then it starts to get expensive, because now he's got to be insured,
Right,
if it goes wrong out there.
right, he wouldn't be under our offense comp or anything,
Maybe
either do something.
he's gonna have his own business.
Yeah,
Right.
contract with him, and then he's got, and then he figures out how to provide backup service things out there.
I mean,
Or,
what happens now if he's isn't able to?
They have somebody on standby. They don't have somebody in the client, they have somebody on standby. They may have somebody swing by and it's going a week or something.
Yeah.
To make sure everything's okay, but otherwise, I think it's just a standby.
it's just, he's just not there and someone's up wherever they are waiting for a call to come in, so they're not actually physically here.
And
Hmm.
there doesn't seem to be somebody physically here very often. Every time I drive by there and look at that water plant, there doesn't seem like there's anybody there.
A lot of times he parks his truck around the end of the building too.
I mean, is he really hanging out 40 hours a week or 8 hours a day?
No, he doesn't hang out there, no, because I mean, he's all over the township doing house hydrants, installing meters on job sites. He's all over the township.
Does he provide a report that says, okay, today I installed some meters and then I went over here and did this and did that? So we really don't know. We're kind of trusting him to. Okay.
So I went on a tour of the plant. And it just seems, it's just. Yeah,
That's one of the things I was talking about was like, like person and a half or something like
Yeah.
that. And you know, we could check and see Bob Stoll, as far as I know, is a certified. When he operated the water system in Saline, so as long as he hasn't let his certification lapse, maybe he could be in that. person. But I don't, he's not here and throwing his name out there, but it's interesting, if there are that few people out there with that certification, and we are sitting here and have two of them at our disposal. I don't know. And maybe, again, maybe it was Bob Scully's, I don't want to do that, or maybe it's. Licensure in the last couple of years hasn't.
it's certainly worth the conversation.
Yeah. I would think you probably would, if you go through all the heavy lifting on the front end.
It seems to me like I remember saying. He did, yeah.
Hmm.
Hell, I keep a motorcycle license just because.
I have.
So we're gonna go to sign.
No, I don't think so. I don't think we're ready for that. I think we need more.
Now that we weren't ready.
It's easier to keep, than it is to have to get us to the
Yeah.
next class.
Yeah, they knew, and they knew, see, they told me, and they kept saying, you know, if you have questions, and I said, well,
Oh, yeah.
this is gonna have to go to the board, and the board's gonna have questions, I know that. And so that's kind of why he was saying he would come to the meeting, but if we're not ready to sign the contract at the May meeting, I think that's. That's okay, this is new to us, we need to, if you guys have questions, and we only get together once a month, so.
You know, I don't like operating without a contract, and, you know, this date on this is, rules date 1/3, April 1.
You know, he just said, what date do you think I should put in there? And I said, well, maybe he even changed it on the one he was gonna send.
So what's the liability of
So-
operating without a contract?
Well, and I have to look and see our old contract, does, if it had anything in there like,
I think there's a.
you know, like or like just that we, you know, it continues on, we've been working under the old contract, you know, which, yeah.
It'd be interesting to
Let's see,
you to call them. Dave and. Doing. See what it is to say.
yeah, for sure, exactly. And, yeah. And the guy, Sierra that provided this new contract had looked at the old one, it was, that was a little strange.
He's a talker.
So,
Where was the termination? I read it, but
It's 90 days.
I'm not seeing it.
Yeah. It's in there somewhere. It's good.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, I don't have all the papers, that's good.
you got it. Pretty weird.
oh, you're right, what the world?
Yeah, no, I think the inverse, you can send me another copy, but I didn't, I thought it was just in order, but I didn't realize it was missing.
Yeah. So, one,
So you can terminate the contract
so,
anytime within 90 days.
Yes,
yeah,
Or
So
you,
that's-
I think that you have to give them 90 days.
90 days.
agreement can be terminated for any reason, giving 90 days written notice to the.
So if we did not sign this though, are we still going with that old rate of $8,700 until this is signed?
Correct,
That's what it is.
Yeah. yeah,
Okay, so if we sign this, then we would bump up to that 11,000.
right. But again, you know, they're saying, well, this is a 40-hour contract, the one that the board authorized to sign last year was also a 40-hour contract for 9,000 and change. So now, you know what, like a year later, they're coming forward with a 40-hour contract for 11,000. That's a $2,000 increase with over what we approved,
Yeah.
and so per month. You know, and then, so, I mean, this, yeah. That's a hike, and their justification of saying, you know, cost of living increase. That's higher than any cost of living increase I've seen. So,
If you're operating without a contract, then I think what happens is we're at risk if something goes wrong, we can't sue them.
I'll have to pull the old contract that we're operating under right now, because what I'm wondering is, that old contract, did it have something about like continuing monthly or something like that? Sometimes some of them do. I'd have to look, this new one that you have in front of you is from Sierra, and he's modernizing, as he says, all of these contracts. So this is a brand new look for an IA contract. I'd have to pull out our old one we're operating under to see what it said there.
So,
And I can ask all that too.
yeah, so I think that's the risk. If you don't have a contract and Bob Halliwell does something out there, you know, somebody decides to sue the township, we have no recourse against the attorneys. You have a contract.
Well, I would have to look, and I think I've heard Paul say too at different places, not that we would want to hang our hat on it, but there is governmental immunity at some point. But I don't know how that would play into that. I don't know, I'd have to ask him.
Well, you might
and
ask
see.
them if, see if you can get them to come down on the monthly charge. And then we sign the contract and then we end it in 90 days. We find somebody else.
I'll be happy to talk to Dana. Like I said, he seems sincere and we have been with him for a very long time. So if he can come down on that number a little more, even in line with, you know, a little bit of a cost of living increase from what we had approved before. And then I'll bring it to the board for May. And we can have Mr. Brown here and people can ask questions and then, we'll go forward from there. Or Dana here. Dana might be the better one.
And if Dana's anything like Kent. He's a solid guy.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So the one comment I had was on the cost of living increase, it should be increase / decrease. And you should define the index like part of the labor
Yes.
consumer price index 12-month average.
Good point. I'll mention that to Paul, because he was gonna look at this. Increase, decrease, oh yeah, which.
Because we need to see, you know, because the CPI has been so high. The next 12 months, it may go negative. It's possible.
Very good. I'll mention that to Paul and he can. Yeah. Okay. Right, any other board of trustee comments or anything? All right,
Move to adjourn.
move to adjourn at 11:49 by Rob. Support by Sandy. Thank you. The discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Thank you. Well, thanks for your patience, everybody, again this morning.
So, yeah, I have when you get to the end of your spot there, I have an election question. Sure.